Youth Impact Movement presents to you two interactions with Dr. Harrison Kofi Belley, Governance Analyst and a lecturer at EPUC-Ho. So the first interaction was on how Parliament works, its dimension and history, which was a virtual leadership seminar held with Doc on Tuesday, 15th November 2022 at 6 p.m. on Google Meet code PKPUMHUSOX. This is it, and enjoy.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Jones. I'm a Civic for the opportunity. My name is Amanor D. Narh. Today I'll be co-hosting today's virtual leadership seminar. The main host will be joining us soon. Is here to set up. Honorable Raymond Elekamagbo. So when it comes, I will hand over to him. But it's all joy that we are putting together this particular leadership seminar where we will learn from experienced people as far as the future of the youth in politics is concerned. So, honorable members, we won't be wasting much time. We'll just zoom quickly into the program because time is not really on our side. Honorable members, shall we observe prayers? Almighty God, we thank you for this program. Grant that it may perform its high duties as in thy sight. Give divine guidance and clarity, insight, and eloquence to our guest speaker and host, that they may deliver and make this virtual leadership seminar memorable and resourceful to our personal development and capacity building. We commit into your hands all participants that they understand and adopt to what will be taught today. Amen. Honorable members, I will quickly, what's the name, acknowledge the participant here online. So kindly pardon me with the names. Some of the names I'm seeing here, probably I can't pronounce them to how probably you used to pronounce them. So myself, I'm Amanor D. I'm the co-host. I'm having my boss here, Jones. I'm a guy Civic. Apparently, he's three human beings here. I don't know how him alone is three here, but it's all part of the game. We have Abubakar. We also have Michael, yeah, I can't pronounce the other name, so we'll leave it there. So we have Benjamin Apia Entry. We have Caleb Otabel. We have Duncan Osei. We have Frank. We have Harry, our guest speaker. Let me add the doctor because it's very, very important. Having PhD is not an easy thing. Even my normal HNE is not a normal thing in the house. So let me add Dr. Harrison Belley. And then we have Chumesi Amaku Benjamin. So, honorable members, I'm sure probably we've shared the link with our colleagues whom, even though it has not started yet, but I'm highly spiritual that today's leadership seminar is highly packed. And myself, I'm going to learn a lot as well as, what's the name? Our colleagues. This seminar is not a paid seminar, it's a free one. Apparently, people pay huge sum of money to go and listen to a nature of teaching like this, but we have it for free from our guest speaker, whom I'm very sure I was at his book lunch. I drank some few cokes from there, so I'm sure he will just give us what's the name, a very detailed version of what we saw during the book lunch somewhere a couple of months ago. So, honorable members, our guest speaker and fellow participant, it's an honor for me to host this memorable event as the Deputy Executive Director of Youth Impact Parliament in charge of Parliamentary Affairs. This organization is focused on impacting its members positively and significantly. This occasion is to promote the vision of the movement. The theme for today's leadership seminar and the 14th edition is how Parliament works in Ghana. And this topic will be handled by guest speaker, Dr. Harrison Belley. He's a governance analyst. Hereby wish, on behalf of the leadership of the movement, humbly welcome all participants and most especially our guest speaker to our 14th Virtual Leadership Seminar. Thank you all, and I welcome you once again. So quickly, I'll zoom into to introduce our guest speaker, and I want all of you to pay attention to the introduction. It's not an easy to bag a PhD. I'm saying it again. My normal HNSF in the house is not an easy task, and then how more a PhD. So, honorable members, Dr. Belley is a lecturer at the Evangelical Presbyterian University College, EPUC-Ho. He holds a bachelor, a master's, and a PhD. He recently launched a book of which he will tell us more about in his presentation. He is an impact-led academic, research, and policy consultant, leveraging 20 years plus years of experience, including senior level leadership covering both public and private sector, spanning international and domestic experience in governance, journalism, and communication, VOSA and civic education, parliamentary development, and project management. Over the years, he combined technical expertise with strong track record in public service management and institutional reforms, ensuring all technical strategies and activities align with institutional goals. Expertly, expertly oversees both small-scale and large-scale projects, from initial planning and development to implementation enhancement. He adapts at building and motivating diverse technical and professional teams to achieve outstanding results and complete project on time and within budget. He demonstrated practically application of public policies, good governance, communication, and parliamentary development, whilst partnering closely with team members to achieve growth and institutional goals. He also possesses good analytical and interpersonal skills and ability to develop and maintain professional and political relationships. Honorable members, I introduce to you Dr. Harrison Belley. Doc, your audience, ladies and gentlemen, I respectfully invite our guest speakers to take the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the compliments. I must indicate that I'm very privileged to be invited by Youth Impact Movement to be the guest speaker for the 14th edition of the Virtual Leadership Seminar. It's a pleasure to share my experience with you this evening. I have chosen to speak on how Parliament works in Ghana. I think it's very, very important. Why is it important? It's because the three arms of the state, the executive, judiciary, and then the legislature, they are supposed to complement the governance structure of the state. But here is the case that one of them is the weakest link, which is Parliament. It is the weakest link because it has suffered some casualties over the years since attaining independence. Today, what I intend to do is to look at the evolution of Parliament in Ghana, look at the leadership in Parliament, that will look at the structure of Parliament, look at parliamentary business, then the functions of Parliament. Then I will conclude with the parliamentary service. And if time will permit, I will just introduce participants to another level of parliamentary business, which is called parliamentary diplomacy. I think that is the area, my area of PhD research, parliamentary diplomacy. And then I'm happy to announce to you that my work was a pioneering work, the first to be done in Ghana, parliamentary diplomacy in Ghana. So if time will permit, I'll share a little bit with that. So, parliamentary business in Ghana is not a new phenomenon, but I'll take 1951 as a cutoff point because that was the time that parliamentary or legislative business was introduced under the 1950 Constitution. Then it moves to 1957 when we attained independence, and then we adopted the Westminster type of parliamentary business. So we had a prime minister who was the head of government. business. We moved to 1960, when we became a republic. Then, 66, we had a coup d'etat. 69, constitutional regime was restored. 71, toppled. 79, we had a third republic. 81, it was toppled again. 92, we started the process of returning the country into a constitutional rule. The first parliament of the Fourth Republic was inaugurated on the 7th of January 1993 at the Accra International Conference Center, because we did not have the current parliamentary chamber in place as of that time. And I must indicate to you that the Consultative Assembly, which drafted the 1992 Constitution, was stationed at the Accra International Conference Center. So the first parliament was inaugurated there. It started with 200 members. And a unique feature of the first parliament was that it established a unitary system, that with one single chamber parliament. The Constitution stipulated that upon inauguration of parliament, within 6 months, it must pass some critical legislations.
Now, in this recording to be seen right after this, as a Constitutional Day public lecture hosted by the School of Social Sciences, Department of Governance Studies of the Evangelical Presbyterian University College Ho, on the topic 3 Decades of Constitutionalism in Ghana's Fourth Republic.
And the protection of our Maker. Yes, once again, you are all welcome. We have come to a very important aspect of the gathering this afternoon. We will need to commit the program physically into the hands of someone who would actually steer the affairs of this afternoon's occasion after a spiritual commitment to our Maker. I would like to have
which was held on Friday, 6 January 2023 at GFA 2, Kokoji campus from 4 p.m. So over here, Doc spoke on an area it is of interest to you from part movement of how this related coverage, and this is the coverage for your view.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ikrama, for helping us to man the high table. Thank you. Let's offer him a clap offering. Thank you very much, Dr. Ikrama. We head to the OT region, where we have invited the Regional Director of the National Commission for Civic Education from that region, NCCA, to also be a part of this evening's occasion. With a heavy clap offering, let us welcome Mr. Setrako Gagakuma to join us on the high table. Thank you very much, Mr. Setrako. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Setrako. Let's give it to him as he joins the high table. Then again, we will humbly also invite the Volta Regional Director of the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, to also take the high table for tonight's or this evening's occasion. Mr. Kenneth Bono, kindly do us the honors. Thank you very much. Kindly do us the honors by taking the high table. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Bono here is also here with the Deputy Volta Regional Director of the same outfit. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. We will see you. Thank you very much. Let us now also acknowledge the presence of many other individuals and groups, including my own friends and colleagues from the media. Mr. Kono, kindly take the high table for us. Thank you very much. Let us also acknowledge the presence of my own colleagues from the media. I have my colleagues from EPUC-Ho among us to give us coverage for this evening's program. GH1, give us a wave. Thank you very much for coming. My friend from Ghanaian Times, thank you so much for coming. I have my friend also from the Daily Graphic also here to provide coverage for this evening's program. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. We are all well qualified to chair this day's occasion, but of course, for responsibility's sake, so that if it goes bad, we'll have somebody specifically to hold accountable for it. If it goes well, we will all collectively take the credit on behalf of that person. So the success and everything as far as this program is concerned will solely depend on that individual who will chair the program for us. But I'm not sure we will be able to do it without our support. That is why I would like to very humbly introduce the chairman for this occasion here today. He does not really need an introduction because he is one of our own. Our chairman for this occasion is the Dean of the School of Business, EPUC here in Ho. With a heavy round of applause, let us welcome Reverend Dr. Israel Kofi Nyaku, our chairman for the occasion. Once he has stood up, I will also plead with him very humbly to just give us his remarks. I'm sure he's accepted to chair the occasion for us. That is why he's already here on the high table. With a heavy clap offering, let us welcome him to accept to chair the program for us.
Thank you, Kofi. Good evening, colleagues, and welcome to this very important public lecture. I'm happy that we are all here. I have accepted to chair the occasion.
We are grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I will go ahead to give my remarks. Okay. I want to express my appreciation to all of you, especially the students of the Department of Governance. You are always at these functions, and it's encouraging. I also want to appreciate all our media friends and media houses who are here to cover this occasion. We are very grateful that you have been able to come, even within short notice. We are so grateful. And also want to thank all other invited guests for making it able to attend this all-important public lecture. Thank you all for coming, and all protocols duly observed for that matter. I have accepted to chair this lecture, which is going to be very brief, but I believe that in the end, we will all learn something from our discourse here. The aim of the Constitution Day, as celebrated by the Republic of Ghana, our own country, is to celebrate the most prolonged period of stable constitutional rule in the history of Ghana, and to acknowledge our collective efforts as a country in upholding the tenets of democracy, at least for the past 3 decades, uninterrupted and growing, and also uphold the tenets of the rule of law and the principles of constitutionalism, as we have all subscribed to since 19 1992. After 3 failed attempts to govern democratically on its own, Ghana ushered in the 4th Republican Constitution in 1993. This was after a number of military coup d'etats that stretched from post-independence in March 1957 to 1981, with Kwame Nkrumah's Convention People's Party, aka CPP, government being the first casualty of a coup d'etat in 1966. Other military juntas followed in 1972, 1978, 1979, and in 1981. The military coup d'etats, which became a common feature in the Ghanaian political terrain, also became repulsive to many Ghanaians, with many people craving for democratic rule. But such desire could not be achieved easily, as the military juntas at the time were unwilling to allow for civilian rule, denying the people's sovereign right to elect their own leaders. Then appeared Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, a young pilot with the Ghana Air Force, who broke the specter of military coups that had characterized the country's political system after he staged his second coup. He seized power first in 1979 and handed over to a democratically elected government of the People's National Party, PNP. He toppled the government again, ironically, on December 31, 1981, and ruled with the Provisional National Defense Council, PNDC, for over a decade. Flight Lieutenant Rawlings honored the wishes of Ghanaians who voted yes in a national referendum to return the country to democratic rule in 1992. The 4th Republican Constitution was adopted in a referendum in 1992. Therefore, the 1992 Constitution came into effect on January 7, 1993. Ghana's transition from military rule to multi-party democracy in 1993 came with the declaration and affirmation of the commitment of the people of Ghana to freedom, justice, probity, and accountability. Those are the principles that all powers of government spring from the sovereign will. The principle that all powers of government spring from the sovereign will of the people of Ghana. The principle of universal adult suffrage. The rule of law, the preservation of fundamental human rights and freedoms, and the unity and stability of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as a way of securing these rules, these values and principles, Ghanaians instituted a number of oversight institutions, independent of the executive, legislative, or judicial arms of government. These include the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, the Electoral Commission of Ghana, EC, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, the National Media Commission, NMC, the Office of the Auditor General, and the Public Services Commission, PSC. Colleagues, apart from these, there are other institutions of government or governance which, while not expressly listed as independent, may yet require a high degree of autonomy to execute their respective constitutional mandates. These are the Bank of Ghana and the Office of the Government Statistician. Independent oversight institutions have in the past decades been promoted in new democracies as institutions that can effectively address the accountability deficit of the administrative state. Ladies and gentlemen, in the case of Ghana, the concept of independent oversight institutions became part of the country's constitutional evolution at a very early stage. It was derived from the desire of Ghanaians to guard against unrestrained executive power. This desire was well emphasized by the framers of the 1992 Constitution when they acknowledged the need to minimize the possibility of persons of power, to minimize the possibilities of abuse of power by dividing political power and vesting it in the hands of diverse persons so that there is effective check on power. The mandate, powers, and operations of the independent constitutional bodies engaged the attention of many Ghanaians for the last 3 decades. We have had attention drawn to the EC, for instance. We have had Shraj play a lot of role. We have had the Bank of Ghana, the government statistician, and other independent constitutional bodies play diverse roles over the past 3 decades in our constitutional or the fourth Republican dispensation that we have enjoyed so far. This Constitution Day public lecture, therefore, assesses the performance of these independent constitutional bodies. We want to find out how they have performed over the period, what have been some of the highs they have attained, as well as some of the lows, and then attempt to appreciate their significance, if you like, going forward. Whether we should scrap some of them, whether we should strengthen some of them, whether we should, whatever we should do, we will be getting to know, and all of us will be discussing it as part of this lecture as the presenter will lead us. And so that is the essence of this brief public lecture that we want to have. Indeed, since 2019, January 7, Ghana changed the various constitution, various public, if you like, holidays. One of them was January 7, which has been marked across the country as Constitution Day. And the day is to celebrate the country's stable period of democracy, which was ushered in by the 1992 Constitution. The day was first marked in 2019, as I said earlier on, and this year also we are marking the Constitution Day. I therefore use this opportunity to welcome all of us to this public lecture. We have an expert, somebody who has been a student of the system over the period, who has played diverse roles, researched a lot into the activities of governance and democracy, these ICBs and their operations in the country, who is here to deliver a very credible lecture for our discourse and deliberations. I deem it an honor, therefore, to be called upon to chair this lecture, and I pray that all of us will pay attention, all of us will listen carefully, jot our questions and our comments that we all will discuss in the course of the lecture. On that note, once again, Kofi, I accept to chair today's lecture, and I wish we all cooperate till the end. Thank you, welcome, and God bless us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That clap offering is weak. Doc here is one of our own, and what he has just done, apart from accepting to chair the function for us this afternoon, is to lay a background to the bigger lecture that we are yet to receive from the expert that he talked about. He has just given us a teaser of what to expect in the food itself, taking us back to the factors and the conditions that compelled former President Rawlings to actually burst onto Ghana's political scene, until other factors also compelled him to drop the military uniforms and take up the thumb as a means and of course a way of deciding and selecting leaders in a democratic system. That's exactly what we are celebrating today after 30 plus years on. We need to do a retrospection. The chairman talked about independent constitutional bodies. You'll be asking yourself, to what extent are some of these ICBs very independent? Has that provision in the constitution that someone somewhere who is the president will be the appointing authority, taking away that independence from these ICBs? If it has, to what extent has that limited exactly the extent to which some of these ICBs can actually perform and deliver on their mandate? We have come to a very important aspect of the gathering this evening. Doc mentioned that this program is not expected to be a very long program. If you look at the program lineup, you will be given the opportunity to ask your questions. What it also means is that, just as Doc mentioned in his remarks, you need to take notes and make notes as the lecture progresses, so that at the end of the delivery, you would be given the opportunity to seek clarifications by way of questioning to better understand some of the areas that we'll be talking about this evening here. So if you are ready with your notepads, your pens, and your electronic devices, let us all, with a heavy clap. Okay, before that, let me also introduce a few more of our dignitaries who have also joined us here. We have a number of both former and current students of the EPUC here in Ho. We are grateful to all of you for coming. This is not limited to only students from the Department of Governance Studies, but of course, every other Ghanaian who loves to see this country actually do very well. So we are grateful to all of you for coming. Mr. Geshu Jokoto is a former student of the EPUC, now with the Ghana Red Cross Society. He is putting on two clothes this afternoon, a cloth of a media person and also a cloth as somebody with the interest of health at heart. Mr. Jokoto, thank you very much for coming. We are grateful to have you around. We have the Speaker of the Youth Parliament of Ghana, who is also the Executive Director of the Youth Impact Movement. Mr. Jones Amekanshi Viglo is in our midst this afternoon. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. We hope that your presence would actually bring a lot to this program. All right then, the very reason for our gathering here at this moment is here. As I mentioned, the chairman has given us a teaser of what to expect. The experts that we expect to teach us this afternoon has taken his time after studying as a student to also study as a lecturer, a researcher who continues to study into research into many areas of governance. Not only democratic governance, but of course, all forms of governance. He has not limited himself to only reading and maybe researching and speaking, but of course he's also documented and rightly so published a number of books in the area that we are talking about this afternoon. He has not limited himself to only researching, talking and writing, but of course continues to teach in the area that we are talking about this afternoon. The very one of those exercises is our gathering here this evening. After a long sojourn with the NCCE as a civic educator, he's abandoned the NCCE ship and got back into academia, to the disappointment of all his former colleagues at the National Civic Educator, the NCCE. I am very humbled this evening to also tell you that the researcher has not only limited himself to academic areas, but of course he is also operating in the fourth estate of the democratic realm here in our country. He is a media practitioner as well, and so he is widespread. If he is not the very best, probably among all of us here to deliver this lecture, who else will be in a better position to help us, to take us down memory lane after his long years of research into democratic governance here in our country, and of course more specifically on our independent constitutional bodies, than with a heavy clap offering, Dr. Harrison Kofi Belley to help us with this constitutional day lecture on parliamentary democracy and the independence of all our ICBs. Thank you very much, Doc, for gathering us here tonight, and thank you very much for lecturing us. Thank you.
Thank you, MC. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to see all of you here honoring our invitation. I'm happy about Mr. Sogo. You are hiding. I've seen you. Mr. Richard Senna, Togbe, Ms. Rhoda, you are all welcome. As the MC indicated, that it's a public lecture, and I'm just going to lead with the discussion. I'm happy to be surrounded by the regional director of SCCE, regional directors of SCCE, among others. So that will make my work easier, so that they will come to my support if I'm constrained. So I feel very comfortable seeing them and then being asked to lead with the discussion. My job will be very simple. I should provoke the thoughts in the area of our journey in this democratic dispensation. As the chairman indicated, actually, I must place on record that the chairman is the originator of today's event. It was on the first that the chairman placed a call to me. Said, HK, yeah, that is how he calls me. HK, Constitution Day is coming. Can't we do something? I said, we will do. That I should put something together. So I developed the concept note. Pass it to the executive. So this event was planned in less than a week. And then it is the initiative of the chairman. So no wonder when the president of the university was supposed to chair it, he's traveled, and then he delegated it to come and chair it. As the chairman indicated from the beginning, that's why I have only 2 pages of paper here. It will not be long. That we have attempted on 3 occasions in our democratic journey. That is why we are in the Fourth Republic. We had our independence in 1957. We became a sovereign state in 1960 with the First Republic, which was toppled. Second Republic, 1969, which was also toppled. The Third Republic, 1979, which was also toppled. And then we started our democratic journey in the Fourth Republic on the 7th of January 1993. And since then, tomorrow will be exactly 30 years that we started this journey. We, as Ghanaians, all of us, even when we were there before it was adopted or not, it was adopted on your behalf. On the 28th of April 1992, when all of us went to the polls through a referendum and adopted the Fourth Republican Constitution, that would be our working document. And since then, this time around, we have refused to overthrow it. For 30 years, we believe that it will grow even more than this. Because other constitutions are 200 years, 150 years, 100 years, and then we are just 30 years. So it is incumbent on us that we protect this constitution, this republic, and know that is what Mr. Bono and then Mr. Ghana Kuma, they preach on. Let's sustain this democracy. We should not go to a fifth republic. We should not go for another fifth republic. It should be the fourth republic, should be the end of our dispensation. The Constitution, very beautifully adopted with the provisions. And then the beautiful provisions, some border on creating independent bodies outside of the executive and the judiciary. That will help with our accountability processes. That will ensure transparency in our democratic dispensation. That is the thought of the framers of the Constitution. So they decided to add these bodies. Some were picked from the First Republic, Second Republic, and the Third Republic. And they refined into the Fourth Republic. Because they know the importance of independent institutions. And I would like to go back to 2009, when former President Barack Obama of the United States visited Ghana and Ghana's parliament. He indicated that strong institutions are needed for the survival of our democracies. Strong institutions are needed for the survival of our democracy. And that is where I am taking the route of today's presentation, that there is a need for us to know our independent constitutional bodies. And then this lecture will zero down to the independent governance institutions. We have the independent constitutional bodies that the chairman indicated, includes the Bank of Ghana, the Statistical Service, the Public Service, Auditor General, among others. But today, we are going to zero down on the 4 independent governance institutions. That is the National Commission for Civic Education, the Electoral Commission, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and the Electoral Commission. Will do an assessment of their 30 years of existence. That is what I seek to do. And then, Mr. Chairman, by way of methodological approach, it is the content analysis of our Fourth Republican Constitution, content analysis of media reports, and other relevant materials. My presentation proceeds as follows. The first part will look at the constitutional proposal, transition to the Fourth Republic, and then the foundation election of the Fourth Republic. The second part will look at the mandate, composition, and operations of the independent government institutions. The fourth part will be an assessment, and then the final part will be recommendations for the improvement of these institutions. So, our proposal for constitutional democracy started during the military regime between 1981 and 1992. 11 years of military regime. Citizens then were not comfortable with it because under military regime, you don't have the space to participate in the democratic process. So they started agitating. So there was the internal pressure and then the external pressure. The internal pressure was about civil society organization, clergy, and the rest protesting and requesting for certain demands to be made to the process. So among them were the Movement for Freedom and Justice, the Ghana Bar Association, Catholic Bishops Conference, among others. They started the agitations. It caught the attention of the international institutions. So some of them, the Bretton Woods institutions, also decided to add their voice by indicating that if the country is not returned to constitutional rule, they will cease supporting the country with their aid. So, the military regime yielded to it and then kick-started the process of moving towards constitutionalism. So, an institution was said that National Commission on Democracy was tasked to collect views of the public. These views were presented before a committee of experts who also refined it and presented it before a consultative assembly. The assembly was supposed to be made up of 260 members coming from everybody. Then 117 assembly members, they were automatic members, representatives from government and other institutions, from Makola market women, butchers, GPRTU, among others. They were allocated seats, but two of the institutions did not participate in the consultative assembly process because they said they were given only one seat. Their protest was that, how can you give Ghana Bar Association one seat and give GPRTU 10 seats? So they boycotted it. The second institution was the National Union of Ghana Students, who also said the number was small. They boycotted it. So the final consultative assembly composition was 258. They deliberated and came out with a draft constitution, which we adopted on the 28th of April 1992. And then that informed the celebration of annual Constitution Week initiated by the National Commission for Civic Education. So this Constitution Day celebration started in 2001 that we'll be celebrating this. So, out of the blue, they say we have caused changes to some of our public laws to make 7th January the Constitution Day. I have my reservations. I don't subscribe to it. It's a personal opinion I hold because I believe the Constitution was adopted on the 28th, not when the Republic started. The Republic started on the 7th of January, but the Constitution was adopted on the 28th of April. So we should hold 28th as a day so that we'll be able to reflect over the Constitution. But that is what the law says, so we go by the law. So we adopted it on the 7th January 1993. We started the Fourth Republic. It was inaugurated at the Accra International Conference Center. So that became our working document. So why these constitutional bodies? It was instructive that upon coming to force of the Fourth Republican Constitution, within 6 months, that is from 7th of January 1993 to 6th of July 1993, this Parliament must pass laws for the establishment of these institutions. And the Parliament complied with that. On the 6th of July 1993, Parliament passed the acts for this constitutional body. That tells you the importance of these institutions. The National Commission for Civic Education, the Electoral Commission, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and then the Electoral Commission. They have operated for 30 years. So I believe it's a good moment for us to reflect on it. So how do we reflect on it? We look at the mandate, mode of appointments, composition, and the condition of service. Apart from the National Media Commission, the chairperson of the other 3 commissions are appointed by the president. The chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education is appointed by the president, NCCE president, Electoral Commission president. But the National Media Commission is an 18-member commission that the president nominates people to, Parliament nominates the judiciary, civil society organizations, then they in turn elect their chairperson. So, again, with the composition of these bodies, the National Commission for Civic Education and the Electoral Commission have similar composition. A chairperson and 2 deputy chairpersons, and 4 non-executive persons, making up 7 commissioners. That is for the NCCE and the Electoral Commission. But for the SHRAJ, it is the chairperson and 2 deputies. That is the composition. 7-member composition. So, Electoral Commission, you have the J-Mesa, Bosmasari, Silbo as the executive, and the 4 other non-executives. So it is part-time. Same with the NCCE. But SHRAJ is the commissioner and 2 deputies. And below them, they have the national directors, regional directors, and municipal directors. The chairperson of these commissions, his or her status is equivalent to an appeal court justice. And the deputy commissioners, their status is equivalent to a high court what? Judge. So tenure, the commissioners retire at age 70, and then the deputy commissioners retire at age 65. Condition of service. The chairperson and then the deputies, they enjoy the conditions of service equivalent to that of the judiciary. So the appeal court judge, the condition of service is similar to this. The high court, similar. And then their salary compensations are charged on the consolidated fund. So they prepare their budgets, it's presented to Parliament, and then the special budget committee of Parliament, they look at the budget of these institutions. What happens to the budget? When I come to the assessment, I shall tell you an interesting thing. Funding is supposed to come from the consolidated fund. So, it's a Bono and then it's a Gadakma to prepare their budgets. It's forwarded to National prepares, and then it's forwarded to the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance prepares it and forward to Parliament. Then the special budget committee of Parliament will sit on it and decide. And I can tell you that funding has been a major constraint of these independent governance institutions. All the three, the four. Funding has become a major constraint, and I shall be making a strong recommendation for funding sources for these institutions. So they have assisted in this direction, and the National Commission for Civic Education and the mandate are to lead in citizens' education in this country. They are to lead in citizens' education, and that is what they have been doing all these years, 20 years, undertaking various activities that is stated towards building the capacity of Ghanaians, and especially on the content of our constitution. Very, very important job. There's nowhere in this country that you go and you don't see the presence of NCCE. Even at the shrine, they are there. I've gone into the river before and then out, and I know how it is. They are everywhere, and then you can get the best of human resource from the NCCE. Every language, NCCE has experts in them to educate the general public. So sometimes when I sit behind, I hear people saying that the NCCE is not doing anything. I get hate within me. NCCE has led the game of citizens' education, civic education, voter education.
On behalf of Youth Impact Movement, we want to thank Dr. Harrison Kofi Belley for being a guest speaker on our 14th Virtual Leadership Seminar held on Tuesday, the 15th of November 2022 on Google Meet. At the end of the session, we promised to donate copies to the participants of the live session, and he has done so. He has donated 15 copies that will be given to the participants of the Virtual Leadership Seminar held on that particular day. I want to thank him very much for fulfilling his promise, and that book would promote our discourse and capacity building in parliamentary debate skills. Thank you very much. Doc, and to you all. Have a nice day.